I chosen Arrow Films as my distributor. Um, this is because Arrow Films is a distributor that distributes classic horror and cult films on Blu-ray and DVD, and it's released quite a few old films. So the company re-releases films that were made in like the 1980s, 70s, that sort of time, and yeah, they distribute to quite a niche audience. Because cult films are not very popular. It's a low-key distribution company, therefore I feel that it would be cost-effective, and it's not too. It's not part of the big six, so it's not. It's not a big companies like Paramount or Lionsgate or things like that. But it does, however, distribute effectively. Although it's not like huge and there's not that much money spent on it. It distributed The Exterminator, but the 1980 version. So and it distributed Exterminator 1 and 2, and it was a vigilante. The Exterminator was a vigilante film that was written and directed by James Gilkenhouse, and it was quite a good film. Like it did well, and films that were made in the 90s are mostly the type of films that Arrow Films distribute. Like I said, only to a niche audience. I think that it would be good for distributing my thriller because of the specialities it focuses on. Because my thriller isn't it hasn't got a subgenre of horror, and due to the fact that the thriller that I've done, Red Sky at Night, is focused on narrative and heavily driven by narrative, not special effects, I think Arrow Film Production would be more willing to distribute my film, because Hollywood blockbusters, which are all in special effects and rooted in that whole 3D SFX sort of film, same storyline as all the other films, but very extravagant. Distributors like Paramount or Universal will distribute these films as they have the money to do so. And I think Red Sky at Night is more rooted in the narrative, and I think Arrow Films are more likely to distribute my film, and I think it'll be a good distributor. Sky at Night is a male and female production. It's not one gender orientated like some thrillers. For example, Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio is the main kind of figure in it, and he's obviously a man. I'm glad that Red Sky at Night isn't like that. There are two female protagonists as well as a male antagonist, and I think this gives a twist to the whole thriller genre. It definitely challenges the normal thriller conventions, as females aren't normally the ones who rescue other females. Females are the damsel in distress, the one who's always being captured by the antagonist who's rescuing. However, I think the role reversal and the swapping is actually really good. So I think this will attract a more female audience, due to the curiosity of females thinking, oh, maybe we're going to get a good part in this thriller rather than just be the one who gets captured or the one who's rescuing. So I think women definitely be more enticed to go see this, and men as well, to see how the role reversal has played out. I think men will like to see a change in the genre that is male dominated, and I think men will enjoy watching how a female protagonist, victim and antagonist mix together and see if it's effective or not. And I think that's a risk that I was happy to take with Red Sky at Night, because I think it works. The age range for Red Sky at Night would be between 18 and 25. It is a broad age range because there's quite a few years in between them, and however, my reason for this is because I think 18-year-olds will be able to appreciate the storyline and enjoy the plot beneath it, because obviously there is quite a quite a deep plot, and it involves quite a lot of thinking, I think, because how, you know, the protagonist got there, what the antagonist has in store, like the whole religious reference of like you know, the Nazi ethos behind it all, and there's lots of influences that I think 18 and above would be able to appreciate and enjoy rather than younger. And yeah, the violence in it would mean that 18 or above would be appropriate. I don't think anyone over 25 there would be enticed by the thriller, because the casting of it is quite young, and I respect that it may be harder for older audience members to, I'm not saying over 25 years old, but to, you know, older audience members as in like say 50, you know, to connect with a young audience, like a young cast. I think due to the fact that it is a narrative piece is more effective and adds a bit more of an edge, because, you know, older generation and older audiences may enjoy it due to the fact that it is a narrative piece rather than a special effects piece, which does give it an edge. So to be honest, I think older audiences could enjoy it just as much as younger. However, my age audience would be 18 to 25. Quite a few females, I think, not as many males. Like a bit of both. Even is better, I think. Question 5. How did you attract and adjust your audience? Like I said in the previous answer, the fact that the protagonist is female automatically draws in a stronger female audience, as they want to see how female roles compare to the male protagonists, and how, you know, see if a female protagonist would make a thriller as edgy as sometimes a male does, because a male tends to the violence and the protective, and they're quite dominant. And I think females are interested, you know, women are interested in seeing how a female protagonist affects this and changes the dynamic of a thriller film. And males are intrigued by this as well. We decided to make the first opening minutes of Red Sky at Night in black and white, so like in film noir, to entice a niche audience. As you know, film noir isn't exactly popular with younger audiences now, because black and white was more an older generation before colour came in. So this is where I do think that the older audience are more enticed and more intrigued by Red Sky at Night. I do think that it was a good idea to have red as a signature colour running throughout, as the title suggests. You know, this doesn't conform to a normal thriller genre because, well, Sin City is an example of film noir with a red signature colour, and that film was quite gripping, actually. So you could say that you could argue that Red Sky at Night conforms to Sin City, and you can compare it to that. And yeah, I think Sin City was popular due to its individuality of being black and white with red as the only colour, and I felt that this gave Red Sky at Night a more of an edge in an already very competitive market. And the storyline does conform to thriller genres. However, I think the whole idea behind it, so the individuality, kind of challenges thriller genres, because sometimes thrillers without subgenres are quite similar. Whereas if you've got like a thriller with a sci-fi, that is different, and people will be drawn to that more because of its individuality. And I think that the colour choices and everything will bring in more of a market and an audience. And I think that was our main kind of attraction, really, the fact that it was so different, which I thought was great. Question 6. What have you learned about technologies from the process of constructing this product? Admittedly, I learned how to use a camera and how to film, because media was never an option in my local school, and I knew how to take photos on cameras. However, I've never actually filmed, not professionally, but I've never filmed to a level of AS. And I really enjoyed learning how to do that. So I learned how to do, handheld filming and with a tripod. And yeah, I really enjoyed learning how to do that, because I think it's a beneficial skill to learn. I did struggle a little bit with the handheld though. And Alistair and our group did a lot of the filming, which I thought was quite helpful because obviously I'd never used it before, but I did pick up skills from him, and just the simple things about handling the camera, so attaching it to the tripod and making sure I was filming it, and I have learnt all that, which I found very helpful. I also had never used Max before, and we use Max at our school, and I'd never learned to use editing software, and I found it incredibly difficult to start with. I'm not very good on the whole, the seeing something there, wanting to change it, and then seeing the finished product. So I think I did find it quite difficult to change and use all the technology and learn how to drag all the things in and then swap things, and the cutting and editing I did find quite difficult. However, with excellent teacher support, I did learn how to use it, and I really enjoyed using the Max and the whole program after, and I enjoyed seeing the changes from the raw footage and the clips to how it ended up, and especially changing the colour. I did enjoy that because we filmed all of our scenes in colour, and then we had to change the the contrast of the picture and the colour on the image, and then we set the colours down, and then try to find the right black and white that we wanted to use with the red, and I found that incredibly enjoyable, and I think very effective, and it did give us again an edge in our thriller, which I thought was really good. And I enjoyed learning how to use the Max in the camera, and also you realise how much technology affects the film industry, and how we learned about how special effects affect films, and we didn't kind of want to put anything like that in. But yeah, we did learn a lot about the technology used in the film industry, which I found very useful. Question 7. Looking back at your preliminary task, what do you feel you have learned in the progression from the film product? Like I said, I didn't know how to use camera before, and preliminary task I was a bit afraid of actually using the camera and handling it because I hadn't done it before. So I definitely developed my actual filming skills. I have learned a lot since my preliminary task, because shot types as well, I didn't know a lot. We did kind of tracking in our preliminary tasks, and we did a shot reverse shot 180 degree rule, so I did learn them, and we did include them in our filler piece. But I learned a lot of how to do shot types, so we did wide shots and close up and cut shots, and so many more in our filler piece, and I think it really shows off what we all learned as a group, because our preliminary task was very basic. However, we did do a tracking shot in that, which I thought was quite good. I don't feel like my preliminary task was anything in comparison to the opening of the thriller we did produce. I learnt a lot about production values as well. For example, we had everything, the whole progress that it takes from starting, planning, and the British structure you have to keep to if you want to successfully film and edit, and it is a difficult task, and I will admit that I did find it harder than I thought I would to keep up with with times we'd set for filming dates, and weather and issues got in the way, and clothing and groups not being there, and that did affect our filming a lot, but I think it was good to keep to the timetable we had, and it was very useful, and we did have to do a lot in order to prepare, and I didn't think it would be as hard because my preliminary task was literally in a lesson. You prepared it one lesson and then you did it in the next lesson, and I did learn how difficult it was to produce even the first 2 or 3 minutes of an opening of the thriller. I learned a lot more about sound as well, because in the preliminary task we didn't have any speech or anything. We simply had music in the background. I learned how to put music over again, and whether to have the wind sound and everything, and I did learn a lot in comparison from the preliminary task to the final product, and I've thoroughly enjoyed my media AS.